Moon Walk by Kem Knapp Sawyer, written in 2009. This July marks the 40th anniversary of a major milestone in space exploration, people landing on the moon. 1 million people watched at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida as the engines fired and smoke flames filled the sky. At 9:32 a.m. on July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 lifted off. Three astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, were on board and on their way into history. Two of them would become the first people to set foot on the moon. On their way. After blastoff, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins worked, ate, and slept while floating freely in the weightless environment. On July 19, 3 days and 240,000 miles after liftoff, the three astronauts saw the moon for the first time. They said its very roundness reminded them of Earth and made them feel welcome. Apollo 11 was made up of two parts, Columbia and the Eagle. Columbia was the command ship where directions were given from outer space. The Eagle was the lunar module, the part that would travel to the moon. Armstrong and Aldrin climbed into the Eagle. As the two parts separated, Armstrong radioed, "The Eagle has wings." Collins remained behind to pilot Columbia and give helpful directions. Final approach. Soon Armstrong and Aldrin got a view of where they were supposed to land. They were surprised to see that it was full of large rocks and craters. They had to quickly find a better landing site or they would have run out of fuel. With only 30 seconds to spare, the astronauts touched down. Armstrong was the first to descend the ladder. It's estimated that 600 million people worldwide watched on television as he stepped onto the moon. Armstrong's words would be echoed long into the future. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Moon trek. Aldrin soon joined Armstrong on the moon. On its surface, they found a dark gray and black powdery material. Some of it was as fine as flour, and some was as coarse as sand. The astronauts took photographs and set up scientific experiments. They spent 2 hours and 14 minutes on the moon and gathered 47 pounds of rocks to take back to Earth. They left behind an American flag and a plaque that read, "We came in peace for all mankind." Boarding the Eagle, they took one last look at the moon's sea of tranquility. They soon reconnected with Collins at Columbia and headed back to Earth. On July 24, Columbia splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, returning everyone safely. Everyone's success. Landing people on the moon was a huge feat for America, proof of what courage and know-how can do. The success of Apollo 11 also increased our knowledge of the moon, sun, and Earth, and helped pave the way for future human space exploration for the good of humanity. Aldrin says that's the point. He told Scholastic News, "The ultimate goal of human and robotic activity in space is to benefit mankind." The astronauts were greeted as heroes, but they knew their mission was a result of teamwork. More than 400,000 people played a role, from flight directors to space designers. Chris Kraft and Gene Kranz supervised the flight from Mission Control in Houston, Texas. They look forward to the day when nations will band together to build a permanent station on the moon and send people to Mars. To make this possible, Kranz offers 3 pieces of advice. Dream, aim high, never surrender. Number 1. Read the sentence. With only 30 seconds to spare, the astronauts touched down. Why did the author most likely include this line? A. To inform the readers how many seconds it takes to land on the moon. B. To demonstrate how close the astronauts were to running out of fuel. C. To show that the astronauts were determined to touch down on the moon. D. To emphasize the landing on the moon is extremely dangerous. Number 2, Part A. According to the article, the astronauts thought the moon was similar to Earth in which way? A. Its color. B. Its shape. C. Its rocks. D. Its water. Part B. Which 2 pieces of evidence below best support your answer to Part A? A. On July 19, 3 days and 240,000 miles after liftoff, the 3 astronauts saw the moon for the first time. B. They said its very roundness reminded them of Earth and made them feel welcome. C. They were surprised to see that it was full of large rocks and craters. D. On its surface, they found a dark gray and black powdery material. Some of it was as fine as flour, and some was as coarse as sand. E. Boarding the Eagle, they took one last look at the moon's sea of tranquility. Number 3. What did the astronauts take back with them to Earth? A. Craters. B. Water. C. Asteroids. D. Rocks. Number 4. Which sentence best states a main idea of this text? A. Neil Armstrong was the first person to set foot on the moon. B. The astronauts who first visited the moon were considered American heroes. C. The Americans' first trip to the moon was a milestone for science and technology. D. The moon is more similar to the Earth than was originally thought. Number 5. Based on the details in the text, what were 2 impacts of the moon landing? A. A permanent station was built on the moon. B. Increased our knowledge of planetary bodies. C. Helped pave the way for future human space exploration. D. 3 Americans were the first to fly to the moon. E. Scientists have been able to learn more about what the land is like on Mars.